Congratulations, you've just gotten your driver's license and now it's time to start looking for a car. Well, it's good you landed on this video because your first car is a perfect chance to make a statement. And don't you want to be the cool kid at school? Well, that's exactly why we put this list together for you. So you could find the most fun, the most reliable, and the cheapest first car for your late night study session. Yeah, that's what I meant, study session. So we're gonna dig through the ideal list of first cars for car enthusiasts under 10K. So buckle up, this one's gonna be fun. Let's go. Who here likes stance? Who knows what stance is? Okay, I think most of you do, and if you don't, well, good reason for you to subscribe to Ideal and turn on those notifications. Because if you're subscribed, you know that there's one company that does slow and low like no other. Good old Volkswagen. And when most people think Volkswagen, they think the Beetle. And no, that isn't the coolest car, but there is a hidden gem in the Volkswagen lineup. You see, the Golf is the gold standard for fun, cheap hatchbacks that drive great. But they also have a hidden trick up their sleeve because they're really well equipped for the price and have this surprising knack for reliability. And I can already hear everybody saying, oh, German cars, they're so expensive to maintain. But hear us out on this one because, well, let's start first with the driving aspect. You see, the Golf was originally built as a replacement for the Beetle all the way back in 1974, with front-wheel drive becoming cheaper to produce and easier to package. And VW saw the benefit of ditching the aging Beetle with a new platform. And the new Golf sold like hotcakes in Europe. See, here in the US, we didn't get the Golf until the Mark II, and that happened in 1983. And Volkswagen gave people what they really wanted, a hot, souped-up version of the much-loved people's car. You see, the first GTI, it got a 1.6-liter four-pot that simply gave the public exactly what they wanted, sporty goodness in a family hatchback. Okay, history lesson over. The Golf is a great vehicle, and you're spoiled if that's your first car. But the GTI is obviously the best in the bunch. And with our price range of 10K, we might have to rule that one out, unless you find a higher mileage Mark V. But that may fall a little flat on reliability. And the regular gas and diesel models are what caught our eyes for this list. The 2.5-liter 5-cylinder makes a respectable 170 horsepower, and the nice thing is it's uber reliable. And that 2-liter diesel is also a great choice for its longevity and insane 236 foot-pounds of torque. And that low-end grunt is perfect for sending you through the twisties. Plus, the Golf looks awesome if you decide to lower it a little or slam the thing on bags and scrape the pavement, which if you're gonna do that, you may wanna go check out our friends over at Fitment Industries. They'll hook you up with everything Volkswagen and what you need to get it slammed to the ground. And seriously, I can't think of a cooler first ride, a VW on bags. Are you kidding me? So for our choice, we wanna look at the Mark VI Golf to balance out the newest model with our available price range. And we did happen to find a GTI for sale within our price range. It's a little high on mileage, but with proper maintenance and a good pre-purchase inspection, these cars can run high miles without breaking a sweat. So if you want to tie a little practicality to your first fun car, the Golf may be your ideal choice. And what happens when you take one of the best-selling cars of all time and just sprinkle on a little bit of spice? You get the Honda Civic Si, a small Japanese commuter car that gives you way too many miles per gallon. And here's the thing, all small Japanese commuter cars have the same feel in them. They're really like good kitchen appliances. They always get the job done, they just run forever, and they feel pretty well built. But the Civic Si takes that level up a notch, and it makes it the ultimate commuter car that just happens to be a whole lot of fun. Now, the original Civic was made back in 1972 as a way for Honda to give Americans a small fuel-efficient car to combat the oil crisis. And the fact that it was light, agile, and had a rev-happy little engine, it was a particularly shouty little commuter. And a few years on, and the first SI came to American shores as the CRX SI. The Civic Si persists to the most recent generation of Civic. And thanks to Honda reliability, even older generations are likely to get you to school every single day. And as far as the best gen for a first ride, well, it's gotta be either the 8th gen or the 9th gen of Civic. And those are the two that are on our radar, with the 9th gen Civic Si coming with 205 horsepower and VTEC. VTEC just kicked in, yo! Plus it had a 6-speed manual transmission as the only available option. And so you would look mighty fine wearing our best-selling Ideal T, well, slick shift in that 6-speed. And the 9th gen Si is really the ultimate do-all reliable tuner car. Go to any car meet and you're bound to see a few Civics. and they almost always look good. Honestly, I'm always pretty excited to see a tastefully modded Civic, and it's just a great starter platform to learn how to modify your car. And when it comes down to price, the 8th gen Civics are gonna fit into our price range a little bit easier than the newer models. But with enough research, you could get a 9th gen for under 10K as well. And here's one that we really liked, an 08 model with 64,000 miles that has Honda reliability and VTEC sportiness all in one package. And as you probably know, we find all of our deals using AutoTEMPEST, and so if you wanna find our ideal picks, we've linked to all of them down in the description and the first comment. So go down there, click on them, and you'll find your next ideal car by seeing what ones we really liked as well. Okay, let's move on to some American muscle, shall we? And although your parents may not be, well, over ecstatic about this next option, because we're talking about rear wheel drive sports cars that you can own for under 10K, and its name is Corvette. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, you're talking about Corvette. We're talking about Z06s. Well, not necessarily, but hear us out. The C5 generation is the one that most people think about, but we're gonna take it a step back, one generation to the C4. The C4 has its own style and demeanor that I'm starting to really dig. You see, these 80s and 90s models are so stuck in the past that they're starting to become cool again. You got digital dashes, target tops, a cassette player, and yes, the C4 Vette has all of that in spades. And if someday you want to graduate from your C4 with maybe the Z51 package, you could look for a ZR1 model. And this model honestly is one of the coolest OEM wheels hands down. Look at those sweet Ninja Star wheels. But ZR1s might be a little bit out of the price range and a little dreamy. Well, at least for the few that know the difference. But luckily, there are plenty of other special editions you can dig up from our friends at AutoTEMPEST. For instance, if you want a blast from the past, look at this gold 84 for just 7,900 bucks. And just think about how cool you'll feel when you walk out of the DMV to your brand new to you Vette. Yeah, that's pretty cool to think about as a first vehicle. And something you'll brag about to your kids and your kids' kids for the rest of your life. Man, that's a long time in the future. And although the Corvette is one of the best examples of American muscle at a dirt cheap price, it may not be the perfect pick if you want luxury and style. But let's say that you want the same aggressive performance on a platform from the land of the rising sun. Well then, there is the G35. The INFINITI G35 is a tried and true platform. It's been around for a very long time, and it's most likely going to stick around for a very long time because Nissan and its luxury brand INFINITI like to keep things around for pretty much what feels like forever. And the sweet secret of the G is that it sits on the same chassis as the Nissan 350Z, which we all know loves to get slideways. And the G35 is basically just another version of Nissan's legendary performance coupe. But I think the thing that really sets apart the G35 from the 350Z is that INFINITI is the luxury arm of Nissan. Essentially, it's comfort, luxury, and performance prowess at the drop of a hat. And the G series, particularly the G35 Coupe, still looks really good even today. And if done up correctly, could fool most people into thinking it's just a few years old. Now, we highly recommend that you look for a rear-wheel drive model. And that's just in case you want to get into some after-school hooning shenanigans, you know what I mean? Plus, the G35 has a huge tuner community behind it. Being that it's based off of the 350Z, it makes a whole lot of sense. And plus, when it comes to reliability, that VQ V6 is reliable. And all of this is gonna be available to you for under $10,000. We found an 06 for just under 9K thanks to AutoTEMPEST. Just make sure you get your spare tires ready because you'll be burning rubber, a lot of rubber. And while Japanese luxury cars are good and all, there are some high schoolers out there that wanna celebrate with a little bit more American pride. Well, that very question can be answered with the next entry, the Ford Mustang. There are few things more American than the Ford Mustang. It was built with the idea of giving the enthusiasts of the US the perfect car. It's a sports car and a family car all in one. And the very first pony cars back in 1964 set in motion one of the biggest movements in automotive history. Muscle cars were a thing in America and people loved them. And so eventually the Mustang evolved from the all-American pony car to a full-blown muscle car. And this was all thanks to special editions like the Mach 1 and the Shelby GT350. And then the oil crisis hit, which essentially flattened the muscle car kingdom. But not all hope was lost because back in the 90s, the Mustang was brought back with the Fox 4 platform in 1994. And this is the Mustang sweet spot in the used market. Most of the classic muscle and pony cars are way too expensive thanks to the price inflations, and just the fact that they're now collector cars, and so the prices are appreciating. But the 1994 to 2008 models are in the perfect price range for new drivers. And that's not one, but two different generations of Mustangs that you get to choose from. And all of them have different trim and engines that you get to pick. And being that the Mustang is a simple American V8 powered horse, it's going to be reliable as you need it to be. Just make sure, and I'm sure you've heard this before, keep it away from crowds, you guys. We've all seen the memes, and we don't need any more made this year. And we found this 1994 model with a manual transmission and that all-important V8 for around $9K on AutoTEMPEST. So here's your chance to make your first car a part of American history. And although Mustangs, Infinitis, and Corvettes are all great and all, but when asked the question, what car should I buy? Things always seem to boil down to one answer. And so we had to include it on this list. It's the Mazda Miata. I mean, what should I get if I want a good weekend cruiser? A Miata. What should I get if I want a good autocrosser? A Miata. What should I get if I'm young and I just got my license? You got the time for this? Miata. That is why Miata stands for Miata is always the answer, because it's just one of the best performance convertibles available cheap on the used market, and one I would totally use the ideal car strategies on to buy like a pro. And the Miata was first made because Mazda noticed several enthusiasts complaining about their British Roadsters being in the garage all the time instead of on the road, because those days have passed and the British Roadsters have faded into history. Because in 1989, Mazda came to the rescue and gave the world the first Miata. And unsurprisingly, the light, spry, and well-tuned little convertible took the car world by storm. And the first Miata, otherwise known as the NA, took home multiple awards upon its release. And early on, it cemented this little coupe into sports car history. And we were fortunate enough to then get the NB model, the NC, and the current ND models that I gotta say look pretty ideal with a wide body kit on them. But whether or not it's wide bodied, lowered, super, or turbocharged, Mazda throughout the generations has stayed faithful to the same ideology. And that has helped the Miata not only stay relevant, but actually prosper throughout the decades. They're also beyond reliable, and if you ever come across an issue, they are extremely easy to work on. And really, you can't go wrong with any generation of Miata. Each one is special and makes the perfect platform for basically whatever you want to do with the car. Because whether you want to be a weekend warrior at the autocross or you want to drift the crap out of it, you can go for it. And honestly, my personal favorite is you can also lift it. But that's another subject for another day. And I did lift my 911, and yeah, you should definitely go check out that video. It's rad. But after this video, because this video, we're not done yet. All different generations of Miata is your perfect Miata. And if you want the NA, well, then you get those awesome pop-up headlights. Or you could get the NB model, which is a little more refined and is a little better option for consistent reliability and a more modern approach. And you can find both of those for under 10K. But here's one of our favorites. On AutoTEMPEST, we found a 99 model with a low miles for just 7 grand. So you can get your hands on the perfect do-it-all convertible, go wrenching, and build your perfect car. And remember when we were talking about the hot hatch at the beginning of this video? Well, let's take a trip back to hatchback land for a second time. And we all know that rear wheel drive is best wheel drive, but there's something about a particular egg-shaped car that's practical and fun to toss around. And we all just love it here at Ideal. So here's your grandma's sports car, the Honda Fit. And hear us out, because for small hot hatchbacks, we would have included the Fiat 500 Abarth, but reliability was a requirement, so that was a no-go. And that led us down a different avenue to the Honda Fit. And I know it looks like something that your grandma would drive, but you gotta give the Fit a chance, because it might be the perfect fit for your first fun car. See what I did there? No, but seriously, the pieces to the formula are all there. It's a small, light hatchback with Honda reliability and the all-important fun factor we're looking for. You see, Honda is well known for making small cars fun, and the Fit is that and more. The manual gear selector, it's amazing. And 117 horsepower is sent to the front wheels through a 4-cylinder engine. And I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but you gotta remember, this is a Honda. Throw a turbo on there, or maybe some bolt-ons and you can hit 200. 200 horsepower, that is, not 200 miles per hour. That would be crazy. And there's a reason why a lot of people consider the Fit as their cheap autocross car. And there's one thing that we haven't mentioned yet. VTEC? Yes, the Fit does get VTEC too. Yes, it actually is a whole lot of fun in a very small package. And just trust us, the Fit is a great car and probably one you weren't even considering. And with this 2009 Sport model, we found for just $5,500, they're extremely cheap too. So if you want to be the practical guy at school that still can tear it up on the weekends, the Honda Fit might be the perfect fit for you. We'll be here all week. No, seriously, we will. So if you're new here, you should subscribe. And since you're still enjoying this list, well, we're not gonna spoil you with another front wheel drive hatchback. Instead, we're gonna hit you with a car that you really would like to be seen in. This is the sports sedan unlike any other, the Audi A4. What? That's not on the list? Never mind, we're just kidding. Jokes again. Reliability is a factor in this list, and Audis are not well known for being kind to the wallets. So instead, this next car kind of has a little bit of a cult following actually. And it is something that's a little bit out of left field. Ringing any bells? Well, this would definitely be my fiance's pick because we're looking at the Pontiac G8. And this is the sports sedan that's based off of multiple Holden platforms. You know, that company that Chevy's been making for our friends down under? Well, they've been having all the fun for way too long. But thankfully, Pontiac finally brought the platform to us. In the modern iteration, the Chevy SS was a runaway hit with the enthusiasts. But that's a little too new for our list. So that's where the G8 comes in. It's a rear-wheel drive sports sedan that packs a 250 horsepower V6. It's essentially an American muscle car with 2 extra doors. And one of the other standout features of the G8 is the fact that it's a driver's car. You have to work to get the G8 really hustling, but once you get it into the zone, it handles awesome and will give you all the rear-wheel drive fun you'd expect. And thanks to that cult following in the enthusiast community, mods and maintenance support are super easy to find. Because thanks to depreciation and the fact that Pontiac, it's a dead company, the G8 is relatively cheap to find as well. We found one with the V6 for just under 10K. And for a sedan with muscle car attitude, we think that's a pretty ideal deal. So there's our list of 8 great rides for our future drivers. And some may be older and not as safe as your parents may like, but they'll all get you to school and back without any massive headaches. And a few of them on this list, well, if you don't like your friends, they won't be able to see you through the massive tire smoke. All of them were great picks, so let us know your favorite, or did we miss one? Let us know down below in the comments. We'll be down there for the first couple hours after this video is released. Also, if you enjoyed the vid, please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And also, if you're new here, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. Check out some of our other Ideal content and keep living the ideal lifestyle.